Hello, we'll continue here in Genesis chapter 36, and we're going to talk about the Esau's leaving Canaan, and we're going to talk about the rejection line of Esau. And here we continue here in verse 1. It says, "And now these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom." And it talks about here the generation of Esau, and it says that Esau is Edom. Because if you read in Genesis chapter 25, verse 30, it will give here a notice about Esau, that he's the father of the Edomites. And it says in Genesis chapter 25, verse 30, it says, "And Esau said to Jacob, Feed me, I pray thee, with that porridge, for I am faint." Therefore was his name called Edom. Now, Edom is a nation from Esau. And when God speaks to a nation in the Old Testament, he speaks to a nation. And here is the nation of the Edomites. And he made it clear that Esau is the father of the Edomites. And verse 2 says, "And Esau took his wives of the daughters of Canaan, Ada, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, and Aholibama, the daughter of Anah, and the daughter of Zibeon the Hittite, and Bashemat, Ishmael's daughter, sister of Nebajoth. And Ada bare to Esau Eliphaz, and Bashemat bare Ruel, and Aholibama bare Jewish, and Jalam, and Korah. These are the sons of Esau, which were born unto him in the land of Canaan." Now it says that Esau here, he took wives from Canaan, and this man intermarried with the godless line. And here he intermarried with the godless line in Canaanites. The Canaanites, which is the Canaanites, the Hivites, the Ishmaelites. And this is against God's will, and this is what God does not want the Abrahamic family to intermingle with these people. And here you have the strange women. He brought in strange women. Again, the strange women means non-covenant women with Jehovah. You know, these were, of course, the Hittites, the Ishmaelites. They were out of the covenant with God. And this is against God's will and against God's commandments. And here you see Esau, the lawbreaker. He's a lawbreaker, and so is this nation is going to come out as they call the nation of the Edomites. And this is what God hates when he said that Jacob I love, Esau I hate it. And God is speaking about the nation of the Edomites and those who break his commandments, and which is the Edomites nation. And that later on became a godless line, and God in the time of Malachi was speaking to the nation at that time. He's not speaking to the individual person Esau. And here it says also the sons of Esau is Eliphaz, Ruel, Jush, and Jalam, and mentioned here Korah. And it says in verse 6, "And Esau took his wives and his sons and his daughters, and all the persons of his house, and of his cattle, and all his beasts, and all his substance, which he had got in the land of Canaan, and went into the country from the face of his brother Jacob. And for their riches were more than they might dwell together, and the land wherein they were strangers could not bear them because of their cattle." Now, you see Esau, now he took all his wives, he took all his stuff, and he went out of Canaan and out of the land of God's promise and provision. And here he left the promised land. And here is the money that is the root of evil. It says because here they have a lot of stuff. They have properties. And, you know, the tragic times when sometimes money comes in and divides a family. And many Christians sometimes leave prominent positions because of money. and more riches. It says that more riches for them, that they cannot dwell with each other. And for example, they had a cattle. All the cattle need more land to graze, and the place that they were dwelling in Canaan will not be enough as far as the accumulation of livestock. And it says for the land wherein they were could not bear them. You know. Also, the same is said about Abraham, Lot's nephew. You know, it says in Genesis verses 13 and 6, it says, and the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. And this was speaking about Lot and Abraham, because when their increase of property, that means that the land and the cattle and the livestock need more land for them to graze. And this was the case of Lot and Esau. You see, money and substance have separated the families. And then here he's leaving the land of promise, and either he's having too much or having a little bit or not having enough, that is ultimately makes people divided the family. But ultimately, this man has no heart for God, and he married out of God's will, and then he's leaving God's covenant. And here you see that Jacob is supposed to dwell in the land. Jacob was the covenant son, and he was supposed to dwell in the land on God's promise. And the God's promise to Jacob and the family of Abraham was to stay in the land and dwell in the land. And this is in Genesis chapter 17 verse 8, and it says, and I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. Also, in Genesis chapter 28 verse 4, it says, and I will give you the blessing of Abraham to thee and to thy seed with thee, that thou mayest inherit the land wherein thou art a stranger, which God gave unto Abraham. Now, this is the pass down of the Abrahamic generation, blessing that was given to Jacob. And Jacob, after he left the country, after he left Canaan, he came back in that Canaan and he dwelled in the place where God wanted him to dwell, which is in Canaan. You see, Jacob is to dwell in the land of Canaan on God's promise, because God promised that he was to give the land to Jacob and to the seed of Abraham and the generations. But here is Esau. It says in verse 8, it says, thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. You see, this man went and left the country, and now he dwelt in Mount Seir. It says Esau is Edom. It says, thus dwelt Esau. Esau is Edom, and he dwelt in Mount Seir. And the result is that he left. He left and dwelt in Mount Seir. And this was a permanent move for Esau. This is his last move here. He packed everything, all his substance, all his wife, all his cattle, and he moved, because he's not the chosen son. And here you see that this man, despite having all the opportunity that he had, he started off with the spiritual blessings, and everything in his birthright points to him, but it's all about the heart condition of this man. He does not have the heart condition for God. So here you see his fruit is now shown that, he left completely, and finally goes out from his brother to Mount Seir. And he had been there even when Jacob was in Pandaneram. Remember that when Jacob was coming towards Pandaneram, after he has left Pandaneram, he was coming and he was coming in towards Canaan. He has to send his messengers to tell Esau, who was in Mount Seir, that he is coming. You see, and this man he went to the land of Seir, Mount Seir, and then he dwelt in the country of the Edom. So he has left, and before Isaac, his father, died, and before Jacob's arrival to the land of Canaan, Esau stayed at Mount Seir. And that was a temporary, he stayed there temporarily, but when his father died, he figured that since he and his brother had too much riches now, they had to separate. And he no longer have ties with Canaan. And after all, he probably thought that his father is dead. So, and because he had too many riches, but you see all along, he has no interest of God. And he's nonchalant in spiritual things and spiritual gifts and has little discernment of godly things. And here Canaan represents God's presence. That's what Canaan was. Canaan is a place of God's presence. And you see the contrast between Jacob and Esau. Despite Jacob being a rascal that he was, in the beginning. Now you see, but Jacob, he strived to take the spiritual blessings, despite the way he took it was not godly way, and God dealt with Jacob. He dealt with Jacob, and because of his decision with Jacob, it cost him a lot of things by deceiving his brother and his father. But Jacob strived for the blessing, and no matter the costs, you see, and he longed to come back to Canaan, and finally now he came back to Canaan in God's presence. He's now staying in God's house. But while Esau, he gave away his spiritual gifts, he gave away his spiritual birthright. He married godless women that God and his fathers, Abraham and Isaac warned not to take any daughters of Canaan. This boy has a heart of rebellion, and he married these heathens, and then he left Canaan without regard. For now, he says that Esau, he became the Edomites now, and the Edomites they took Esau's personality because he's the father of the Edomites, and these Edomites became the haters of God, and they rested on the cleft called the Mount Seir, and they became a prideful nation. If you read in the book of Obadiah began with the pride of Edom, and we're going to see more about Edomites later on. And because these people, no matter, there are people, no matter how spiritual enlightenment they get, and the blessings of God they inherit will always turn away from the presence of God. And there are people like the Edomites. There are many professed Christians that they hang around churches or probably born in a Christian home, but one day they will turn away, and people wonder whatever happened to them. And these are like the Edomites in the Old Testament. But what about God's sovereignty? What does God bring somebody up to reject them? The answer is no, because Esau, was given equal opportunity. In fact, he started off right. He started off having the birthright was given to Esau, and he rejected it. In fact, the only reason his brother Jacob attempted to deceive him was Esau placed little value on his birthright, and he simply had no value for it, and he had any tolerance of the things of God. He says that Esau despised his birthright. So moving on, it says in verse 8, it says Esau is Edom. And here it says we're going to talk about the generation of Edom, the Edomites, which is Esau, the generations of Esau. And it says in verse 9, and these are the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites in Mount Seir. It says, these are the names of Esau's son, Eliphaz, the son of Edom, the wife of Esau, Reuel, the son of Bashemat, the wife of Esau, and the sons of Eliphaz were Timnah, Omar, Zepho, and Gatham, and Kenaz. Now it says these are the generation of Esau. It says they are Omar, Zepho, and Gatham, and Kenaz. In verse 12 it says, and Timnah was concubine to Eliphaz, Esau's son, and she bare Eliphaz, Amalek. These were the sons of Ada, Esau's wife. Now here you see the Amalek. The Amalek, this Amalek is the father of the Amalekites. And if you read we're going to come to Exodus, and these were sworn enemies of Israelites, and these are the first nation that to really start a war with the Israelites when they came out of the Red Sea. And that was in Exodus verses 17. If you read Exodus verses 17:8, it says, then came Amalek and fought with Israel in Rephidim. And this is a place they came, the Rephidim. They came out here to fight the Israelites after they came out of the Red Sea. And these were the first enemies of Israelites after the Red Sea. And all, again, these are Amalek. The name Amalek is nation, is a nation, is the father of the Amalekites. These are all nations, and they are all rejected line of the generations of Esau. And we're going to continue it here. And it says, and these are the sons of Reuel, Nahat, and Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. These are the sons of Bashemat, Esau's wife. And these were the sons of Aholibamah, the daughter of Anna, and daughter of Zibeon, Esau's wife. And she bare to Esau Jush, and Jalam, and Korah. These were dukes of the sons of Esau, and sons of Eliphaz, and the firstborn son of Esau, Duke Timnah, Duke Omar, Duke Zepho, Duke Kenah, Duke Korah, Duke Gatham, Duke Amalek. These are the dukes that came from Eliphaz in the land of Edom. These were the sons of Ada. And these are the sons of Reuel, Esau's son, Duke Nahat, Duke Zerah, Duke Shammah, Duke Mizah. These are the dukes that came of Reuel in the land of Edom. These are the sons of Bashemat, Esau's son, Esau's wife. And here it says in verse 18, it says, and these are the sons of Aholibamah, Esau's wife, Duke Jush, Duke Jalam, Duke Korah. These are the dukes that came of Aholibamah, the daughter of Anna, Esau's wife. And these are the sons of Esau, who is Edom. These are their dukes. Now, dukes now is a self-crowned king. It's originated in the line of Esau. And these are like chieftaincy titles, kings and queens titles, and the so-called. Now, all came from the line of Esau, the ungodly line. And these were the Edomites. The Edomites were they became a self-independent nation and tribes, because now they're out of presence of God. And now, they took after Esau, who was a rebel from the beginning. And here you have a humor that says, these are the sons of Esau, who is Edom, and these are their dukes. And these are, again, self-proclaimed kings. And then it says in verse 20, and it says, and these are the sons of Seir, the Horites, who inhabited in the land, Lotan, and Shobal, and Zibeon, and Anna, and Dishon, and Ezer, and Dishan. These are the dukes of the Horites, the children of Seir in the land of Edom. Now we say this is generation of Esau. And now from the land of Edom, this is generations of Esau from the land of Edom. And the grandchild, these are the grandchildren of Esau now, because he has migrated to Edom. And he has migrated to Mount Seir, and now these are the grandchildren children is being named here. It says in verse 22, it says, and the children of Lotan were Horid and Heman, and Lotan's sister was Timnah. And the children of Shobal were these, Alvan, and Manahath, and Ebal, and Shepho, and Onam. Verse 24, and it says, and these are the children of Zibeon, both Ajah and Anna. This was that Anna that found the mules in the wilderness, as he fed the asses of Zibeon his father. And the children of Anna were these, Dishon and Aholibama, the daughter of Anna. And these are the children of Dishon, Hemdan, and Ishban, and Itran, and Sheran. And the children of Ezer are these, Bilhan, and Zavan, and Akan. And the children of Dishan are these, Uz, and Aran. These are the dukes that came of the Horites, Duke Lotan, Duke Shobal, Duke Zibeon, Duke Anna, Duke Dishon, Duke Ezer, Duke Dishan. These are the dukes that came of Hori, among their dukes in the land of Seir. And these are the kings that reign in the land of Edom, before there reigned any king over the children of Israel. Now you see here, these are self-crowned kings now. And these kings came from the Esau's lineage and the Edomites, before Israelites had made any human king or any crowned king. And the king at that time, a king in Israel, is a sign of rebellion. And we're going to see that later on. And but here you see in Chronicles 1 verses 43, it says, now these are the kings. He repeated it, the word God repeated itself. It says, and these are the kings that reign in the land of Edom, before any king over the children of Israel. Bela the son of Boi, and the name of that city was Dinhaba. And then also in First Chronicles 1 verses 51, it says, Hadad died also, and the dukes of Edom were Duke Timnah, Duke Alva, Duke Jethet, Duke Aholibama, Duke Elah, Duke Pihon, Duke Kenaz, Duke Timnah, Duke Mitzvah, Duke Magdiel, Duke Iram. These are the dukes of Edom. Now, the Word of God repeated these chronicle history of these people, the Edomites, and to solidify that these were the dukes that were there, and also that the kings, they came out. They say that these kings, these are self-proclaimed kings that came out from the line of the Esau line and begin to crown themselves. And along with being self-governant, also their acts came from the line, the so-called elites. Their acts were all of a sudden these people begin to crown themselves dukes. And the Israelites have no kings and queens, because they were, monotheistic people at that time, at this timeline. But God was their duke. God was the duke of the Israelites. God was their king until the time of Samuel. You recall Samuel, when the Israelites, they rejected God as their king and said that they wanted to erect a human king. And the human king became Saul. And the Israelites followed their neighbors. They saw what they see in the heathens, and they said that to Samuel, we don't want God as a king anymore. We want, give us a king like the heathens. And then God gave them a king, a human king, but again, that king became wicked and oppressed them. So as a sign of judgment. But here, this is a rejected line, that in the line of Edomites with kings and dukes. And continue on, it says here, and it says in verse 32, and Bela the son of Boi reigned in Edom, and the name of his city was Dinhaba. And Bela died, and Jobab the son of Zerah of Bosra reigned in his stead, and Jobab died, and Hoshan, the son of the land of Timani, reigned in his stead, and Hoshan died, and Hadad, the son of Bedad, who smote the Midian in the field of Moab, reigned in his stead. The name of his city was Avit. And Hadad died, and Shamla of Mashrekan reigned in his stead. And Shamla died, and Saul of Nehoboth by the river reigned in his stead, and Saul died, and Baal-Hanan, the son of Akbor, reigned in his stead. And Baal-Hanan, the son of Akbor, died, and Hadad reigned in his stead. And the name of his city was Pau, and his wife's name was Mehatebal, and the daughter of Matred, and the daughter of Mezahab. And these are the names of the dukes that came of Esau according to their families, after their places by their name: Duke Timnah, Duke Alva, Duke Jethet, Duke Aholibama, Duke Elah, Duke Pihon, Duke Kenaz, Duke Timnah, Duke Mibzah, Duke Magdiel, Duke Iram. These are the dukes of Edom according to their habitation in the land of their possession. He is Esau, the father of Edomites. Now it says, these are Esau, the father of the Edomites, and Edom is Esau. And these people had no capacity of God, made idols of dukes and kings to rule over them. And this is man's self-independent, man seeking his own independence from God. And you see that starting from the time of the Tower of Babel. But here you see this man that came out of the line of Abraham and Isaac now leaves the covenant of God, and becomes self-crowned, produce a nation of self-crowned, self-ruled, self-governance people, nation, but godless. And it says that Edom is Esau. So we're going to continue on in verse 35. But until then, precious saints, God bless.